You know, in today's constantly changing world, there's one competitive advantage that beats all others: adaptability. But what's the real engine behind that? Well, the answer is pretty simple, though it's not always easy. It's continuous upskilling.
And if you're wondering just how urgent this whole thing is, just look at this number. The World Economic Forum predicts that by 2025, a massive 50%, that's half of all employees, will need some serious reskilling. This isn't some far-off problem, it's happening right now.
So here's what we're going to dive into. We'll start with why upskilling is basically the new survival skill. Then we'll get into the urgent forces that are driving all this change and see how learning itself is getting a complete makeover. After that, we'll get practical, how to actually build agile teams, how to lead the right kind of culture, and of course, how you can gain that future-ready advantage.
Okay, let's kick things off with a core idea that might actually surprise you. What do you think is the biggest strength of a truly resilient company? It's not about the latest tech, it's not about how much cash is in the bank. Nope. It's the ability of its people to learn, unlearn the old stuff, and relearn over and over again.
And that's because the shelf life of our skills is just shrinking like crazy. Think about it. A skill that used to be valuable for a whole decade might now be obsolete in just a couple of years. And in some industries, we're talking a few months. So, what in the world is causing this massive acceleration? Well, there are some incredibly powerful forces out there that make continuous learning absolutely non-negotiable for any business that wants to stick around. We're looking at a perfect storm of disruptions all hitting at once. You've got AI and automation completely changing what jobs look like, whole industries are going digital, global issues like climate change and geopolitics are rewriting the rulebook, and then you throw in the huge shift to remote work on top of all of it. Any one of these would be a big deal, right? But together, they demand totally new ways of thinking and working.
So with all these pressures, the old way of doing training is, well, it's officially broken. What we need is a huge mindset shift, moving away from thinking of training as a one-time event and moving toward a culture where learning is just always on, totally integrated, and, well, it's simply part of the job.
And the difference is like night and day. On one side, you have that old model, the yearly workshop that pulls you away from your work to give you generic, one-size-fits-all content. But the new model, it's continuous. It's learning that's baked right into your workflow, it's personalized just for you, and it happens through collaboration. It stops being an interruption and actually becomes the job itself. And what's the result when you make this shift? Well, this is where it gets really good. You start building teams that aren't just efficient, but are genuinely agile. These are teams that don't just get through disruption, they actually thrive on it, using change as the fuel for their next great idea.
This is how you start to develop what people are calling T-shaped professionals. Just picture the letter T. That deep vertical part, that's your core expertise, the thing you're amazing at. But that horizontal bar on top, that's a whole range of other skills like great communication or problem solving that let you work with anyone, anywhere in the company. This is the secret sauce for breaking down those silos and sparking some real innovation. Okay, so how do you actually make this happen? Here's a pretty clear 5-step playbook. First, you got to know where you're starting from, so you do skills gap analyses. Then you weave learning into the daily grind. You personalize those learning paths for everybody. You get teams to collaborate across departments. And crucially, you have to recognize and reward all that learning to show that it really matters.
But look, a strategy like this is great on paper, but it doesn't just happen on its own. To make it real, you need two things that are absolutely critical: leaders who are all in and the right tech to make it all happen faster and better. And yeah, it really does start at the top. When leaders are out there learning new things themselves, when they're putting real money behind it, and when they build skill development into how they measure performance, well, that sends a message that you just can't miss. Learning is not optional here. It's who we are.
And this is where technology becomes a total game changer. AI can build out those personalized learning paths we talked about. VR can create these super safe, immersive training simulations. Gamification makes it fun and keeps people engaged. And mobile access means you can learn literally anywhere, anytime. Technology is what makes all of this upskilling scalable, accessible, and way more effective.
So, this is the ultimate payoff. When you really commit to a culture of learning, upskilling stops being this defensive thing you do to react to change. Instead, it becomes your #1 offensive strategy for driving change. It becomes your most powerful competitive edge. What you end up creating is this amazing positive feedback loop. Your skilled, empowered people drive innovation and get big wins for the business. And that success, it fuels even more investment right back into your people. Your team and your whole company just gets stronger and more adaptable with every single turn of that wheel. So I'll leave you with this one simple question to think about.
Is your team and your whole organization really learning for the challenges and the opportunities of tomorrow, or are you just busy working for today?